Experience for his age with international competition as well as TV shows such as this. And he see the ball going in there solid. He called out sit just beforehand. He wasn't too sure. Plenty of depth, plenty of strength and revolutions. Calls out sit, and it did. Right in the pocket. Thank you, he says. Gives him the double back in the game.
The reply from Atkins, who qualified 18th with an average of 184. What can he do? Oh, dear.
Looks at his thumb. And obviously, to him, hung on just a little bit too long. Not able to get the thumb out beside the foot and therefore get the rotation off the fingers and get the desired work. So we see there, oops, thumb too low on release, which is going to create more skid and consequently the washout.
Mixture of concentration, a very tough spare here.
That one actually looked like he released it too soon, and consequently, you know, the adverse happens. If you hang on too long, the ball will skid. If you let it go too soon, as we see there, off early, the ball just takes off down the back end, and consequently two. It's opened it up a lot for Carl now. Rolling over way too far.
Let's see what he can do. Carl Bottomley searching for three in a row.
Whoa! Oh! Yes!
Yes. Now that does count because that took a long time to come down.
Alan congratulating him, say, well, good luck to you, mate. As we see here, Carl sends the ball out between the second and the third arrow. It stayed out a little bit long that time. Light, looks like there's 3 pins, 1 pin, and then we get a wobble. Wobbles left, down it goes, just before the pin setter comes, which means that if the pin setter touches it, then it must be re-spot where it came from. As we see, 3, 2, and 1 going. Yes.
Just made it.
Ooh. A little bit too high that time. You know, when you've given it a lot of air and just hit very, very light and got the break, I think the natural subconscious reaction from the players is to get up there and really make a solid shot to prove that it's not all good luck. You have high skills. As we see the ball, again, characteristically of these younger players, going right out near the gutter and then coming back.
No problem with the spare for Carl Bottomley. Now starting to gain the upper hand against Alan Atkins.
It's definitely, you know, youth versus experience with Carl and Alan. Alan's been around bowling in Brisbane for a long time. He's a highly respected competitor, and he's lost a little bit of weight over the years, and he's worked on his game and got a lot more of a reaction, but we'll see what he can come back with now. Light hit, leaving the 3, 5, 6 on the right-hand side. It's really hard out there. As we watch here, we see it's very low. It's a carry more so than what it is a swing. His feet catch up, and then we place the ball out on the lane. It's in between a stroke and it's in between a delayed shot, so it can be a disadvantage at times. But a good cover there for the spare by Alan Atkins.
And the players take a short break. We look at the action of Alan Atkins on this spare. Safely takes out the 3. He can take a break, as we will, on 9's Wide World of Sport. Carl Bottomley leading this first round match by 40 pins over Alan Atkins.
In the past, bowlers were required to calculate their own score. Now we find in most bowling centres we have computerised scoring. You only have to follow the easy instructions that are on the console, type in your name, and the computer does the rest. The best part is you can get a printout of your game once you've completed.
The 10-pin bowling action continues here at Richlands Bowl. This is Alan Atkins. A lot of work to do here. He's coming off 2 open frames. It really needs to string a few strikes together. Hasn't been able to get one in 6 frames.
No, he's been solid on the right-hand lane, and then it's very easy to get defensive in these matches. So we'll see if he goes back and attacks the shot. Yes!
He certainly did.
He knew as soon as he let that go that it was a good shot. And that's where he started laughing and said, well, I've got one here. As we see the shot, nice, simple release, extension with the left arm. Solid in the pocket. Yeah, there's one, he says. There's one.
You don't think you talked him into that one?
I think he talked the pins into it.
Let's see what Bottomley can do in reply.
Whoa, once again, high, leaving the 4-pin in the left-hand side of the lane. But he's a solid player. Again, we'll see on the spare shots that they bowl fairly straight. We see how much area on the lane it covers. And, you know, the piece of equipment that Carl is using is a very hard case ball.
No problem with the spare again. This young man, a very tough competitor, is Carl Bottomley.
Well, with spare shooting with the younger guys, it's a matter of really realising the shortest distance between point A and point B is a straight line. And not too much can go wrong. You don't need great technique for a spare. You've just got to get the ball to connect with the pins that are left, and you've covered the frame and back and start again.
Terry, there's Carl Bottomley's girlfriend. While we're talking about technique, is the younger man's game the way they're going now with more work, faster pitch?
Well, actually, it's not. They're going to put down more oil down in the lanes in the forthcoming years, and these players actually playing in between the game. They're not really as powerful as the Americans, but they're a lot more powerful than the average person. And with the more oil, I think it's going to be not the way to go.
I think the basics of the game are going to come back to the stroking shot, and I find it pleasing that they're going to introduce longer oil on the lanes, because it means people are going to have to work on technique and not on strength.
Double there.
Yes, the old master's on his way back.
Yes, well, Jeanette, I think you're right. I think the game has to get back to a bit more accuracy in a skill game rather than brute strength, because the majority of the people can't play that way, and people like Alan will be very much more competitive.
Yeah, as we see here, you know, Alan's very simple, down and in shot, tickles the pins and over they go. Whereas, you know, with the younger kids, they can bowl with all pure brute strength, but when the oil's down there a long way, they're going to have trouble bringing it back.
Roll, roll.
Whoa. Oh, will it? Oh. Not the same luck as what Carl had earlier on in the game. He got the pin to touch it, but unfortunately not enough power behind it to knock it over. But it's amazing how sometimes it takes a couple of frames to settle down. As we see, there's much more roll on the ball. Moving the 5-pin, that other pin coming round, rolling it, touching it, but not quite falling over.
Spares it up, Alan Atkins.
It's actually quite interesting that he keeps looking for the ball to roll. It is using a fairly hard ball. I would have thought he'd have gone out there with a duller ball or a softer case ball to give him the ball roll. I'm just surprised that he's used the ball that he's using.
Well, I think primarily it's mainly because of what's happening down the back end. By using the hard case Rhino ball, he's not going to get an overreaction at the back end. The lane's going to bring it up. Whoa. Carl is really punishing the pocket. You know, he's had 2 4-pins, then a strike, and now a 10-pin. But, I mean, he's in the invidious position in this game. He just has to stay solid, as we see here, hitting the pocket, 6-pin, touching it, tried to touch it twice, but still laying down in the gutter and leaving that little one in the right-hand corner, which us right-handers so dearly adore.
Yes, we do, don't we?
And you don't mind seeing it fall here. Boom.
Easy coverage for the spare.
We'll take a break here on Nine's Wide World of Sports as the players sit down, and Carl Bottomley still leading by 30 pins with the 10th and final frame to go. There's some of the big crowd here at Richland's 10-pin bowl. We're here for the Gold Pin Coca-Cola Classic for 1991. Currently, Carl Bottomley doing it well against Alan Atkins. Alan has had 25 years of bowling experience, knows what it's like to sit in the chair and wait for his opponent to bowl. Bottomley now would like to punch out, finish off this game.
Not impressed, not impressed. He's saying to himself, oh, yeah, good shot, you know, meaning he just didn't give it room. The thumb was down too soon. He didn't get the thumb clear of the ball before he lifted it, and consequently it takes off, touched the head pin, and anything after that would have been a bonus.
Really?
As we go left, little bit of mix, but still the 5-pin.
Really, at this stage, it's just academic. Carl's won the game, and he knows that.
Exactly. So, you know, it's perhaps the time to try something, getting ready for, you know, what could happen in the next series of matches. But he's been a solid performer all this game, and I'm sure he'd be quite happy with the way he's finishing.
As we've said before, Chris, a win's a win.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. But I do tend to agree with Jeanette. Look forward to that second round, because you must get in the groove immediately in this one-match sudden death. Dry smile there from Carl Bottomley. He has finished as the victor in this match, but now can sit down, relax, wait for Alan Atkins to deliver his final frame.
Solid 205 game from Karma. With a couple of those shots there, the game could have been absolutely anything. So we see Alan getting up now in the 10th frame. See what he does on this left-hand lane. Going high through the nose, and consequently leaving the single pin, the 2-pin, on the left-hand side of the lane. Looking down the lane, up at the scores, grimace on his face, wondering what else could I have done to have improved. And perhaps, Terry, you were right. Change of equipment, something might have picked up a little bit earlier and not overreacted for him at the other end.
Yeah, I think he could have tried it earlier, because he really had nothing to lose.
No. Especially midway during that game after he'd opened those 2 frames. But even still, he's got he's come home solid with the double and a pair of 9 spares. Just, I think that was disheartening, that 7-pin that he left in the 9th frame, which would have given him the chance to really get back into the game.
And also starting with the 2 weak 7s in the 1st and 3rd really didn't look good for the game.
And again finishes with a 9. Acknowledges the crowd, and he bows out by 205 to 175. Carl Bottomley into the second round, and Alan Atkins bows out with $100, compliments of Gold Pin and Coca-Cola.
The 10-pin bowling telecast is sponsored by your local AMF Bowling Centre.